This is CBJ in 30, presented by Telhio Credit Union. Find out more and open an account online at telhio.org. Now here's your host, Bob McElligott.
The Blue Jackets will find out who they play in round 2 of the Stanley Cup playoffs, and it will be decided when the winner of Game 7 emerges tonight. Toronto playing at Boston. Whoever wins moves on. Whoever loses goes home. And whoever wins gets the Blue Jackets in round 2. Welcome to CBJ in 30 Live, presented by Telhio Credit Union. I'm Bob McElligott. Lots to do today. There's also another Game 7 on tap tonight. That will be in San Jose, where the Sharks take on the Vegas Golden Knights. I'll talk with Dan Duva from the Golden Knights about that Game 7. But first, I want to take a step back in just one way. I want to take a step back to the American Hockey League, where tonight the Cleveland Monsters have a chance to close out their first-round playoff series. They are taking on the Syracuse Crunch. That is the affiliate of the Tampa Bay Lightning. Don't you find that a little bit funny? It's the Blue Jackets affiliate and the Lightning affiliate in round 1. The Lightning affiliate finished higher during the regular season, but yet they are on the ropes. In the American Hockey League, the first round is a best-of-5, and Cleveland went into Syracuse over the weekend and won games 5-3 and 5-1 on Friday and Saturday night. Tonight, they are back in Cleveland with a chance to close out that series. And joining me right now is a guy that already has 2 goals in the series and someone that we know very well here in Columbus, and that is Cleveland Monsters forward Mark Letestu. Mark, thanks for joining me today. How are you?
Good morning, Bob. How are you doing?
I'm doing well, thanks. How are you doing? Pretty big playoff series there. I mentioned you already have 2 goals in it. What's going on with you guys?
Yeah, I'm doing great. We've gone into Syracuse and won 2 games, and we're feeling pretty good about ourselves. But anybody that's been through a playoff series knows the clinching game or the elimination game is always the hardest one to win. So there's still a lot of work ahead of us, but we're focused on it, and we're feeling pretty good about our game right now.
You know, I mentioned there are a lot of parallels and similarities between what happened here in Columbus and what's going on there in Cleveland, because it is the Tampa affiliate. They did finish better than you guys during the regular season. And like the Blue Jackets, who clinched on the second to the last day of the regular season, you guys didn't clinch until the very last day of the regular season in Cleveland. So kind of like the Blue Jackets, you guys have been fighting and playing playoff hockey for a long time, haven't you?
Yeah, and I think it's been beneficial for us. I think it seems like it's been 2 months now of really having to fight to get in. We've had to play some of the better teams in the league down the stretch and get wins. And our game is actually peaking at the right time, which is a nice thing to see. And it's kind of difficult sometimes to explain. In this league, the NHL's different. There's guys that have been around for anywhere to 15 years, 6 years. Here, a lot of guys are first year, second year, so they're still trying to figure out who they are as players, and their game is, rounding into form. And a lot of guys for us have really taken steps at the right time of year and have taken on bigger roles. And I think that's the main reason why we were winning games at this time of year. It's been really good to see the development of a lot of our young players.
Yeah, when you talk about the youth, when we were in Tampa a couple of weeks ago, Jody Shelley and I were talking to Cameron Gauntz, who's a defenseman, and he's back in Syracuse now. I know that, but he was with Tampa at the time, and he had been in the Blue Jacket system before. And that's one thing that he talked about. He's an older guy in the American Hockey League now, and, just like you, who spent a lot of time here and you're back there, he said it is amazing how young the league is now, because there are restrictions on how many veterans that you're allowed to carry on each team and all of that stuff. But it really is, the NHL's a young league, but the American Hockey League's a really young league right now, isn't it?
Yeah, well, and it has to be. I think it's the lifeblood of franchises up there. And they're not exactly clamoring over to bring 30-plus guys into their organization for excitement. The draft picks are better now. They're ready to play sooner. You can look at Alexander Texier as an example. He didn't play over here at all last year. He came into the American League at 19 and did really well. And now watching what he's doing with Columbus, it's obvious that at a very young age he's mature enough, strong enough, skilled enough to handle the NHL. And I think it's not necessarily an outlier anymore. It seems like more young kids are ready to play in the NHL, whether that's the training or the preparation or just the talent pool that people are being selected from. And because everybody's been ready, it's pushed the average age down. And it's not necessarily a bad thing. I think everybody's really happy with the state of the game. It's sometimes it's unfortunate being an older player in a young man's league, but I'm still figuring it out, and older guys are, kind of everywhere. So it's a good thing. It's exciting, and I think there's a lot more young players that Jackets fans should be excited to see soon.
Talking with Mark Letestu. He's playing for the Cleveland Monsters. They have a chance to close out their first-round playoff series with a 7:30 game in Cleveland tonight. Who are some of those other guys, Mark? I know Kevin Stenlund has a goal in this series. He's a guy that we saw for a brief time here in Columbus. But who are some of the other guys that maybe they haven't been mentioned so much in Columbus this year? They haven't had that chance to come up, but you've watched their progression throughout the year.
Well, I know two guys that stick out to me right away. And they don't get on the score sheet very often, is Ryan Collins and Doyle Summerby, two really big defensemen that have really been finding their way, but seemingly in the last third of the year, they've really turned a corner, and they've just made our lineup longer. They're both in incredible shape. They're horses where they can play 20, 25 minutes a night, and they're big physical presences. And they've just given us two more guys on the back end, especially when we've been losing Adam Clendenning, up to the Jackets. You need somebody to step in. You need young guys to step in. And those two, their progression's been really good to see, especially for us winning games down the stretch here and how much responsibility has been put on their shoulders. You guys get to see Cole Sherwood for a few games. He's played really well. Recently, it seems like Justin Scott and Ryan McInnes, since the playoffs have turned around, they've really taken their game to the next level, and that's what you like to see. You like to see guys that when the pressure's on, their game goes to another level, and in those two guys, it's certainly happened. And we've been really fortunate to have Sonny come back. Sonny's somebody everybody's familiar with up there. We missed him for a long time with a hand injury. He's come back, and he's been an offensive force. That creativity's been key for us. We found a way to get him involved, and he's scored some big points for us in the first couple games here.
You talked about Adam Clendenning, and we just saw him play his first two Stanley Cup playoff games ever. He even picked up a point in one of those games. And I know you guys are happy for a guy like Adam, who's an older guy, and he's been up and down. Happy for him to get a chance to come up and play. But on the same token, it is I remember being in the American Hockey League where when the NHL team is in the playoffs, it's tough. Well, actually, it's kind of a mixed bag because if the NHL team isn't in and you get guys back, you never know how they're going to play or how interested they're going to be or if they're going to be able to adjust back to the league in time in the playoffs. And, then the other thing is with the Clendenning situation, there's one of your better defensemen. All of a sudden you don't have him because the NHL team is still in the playoffs and he is needed to play up here. So that's just some of the trials and tribulations that you deal with in the AHL playoffs, right, Mark?
Well, I think you're exactly right. The roster is so fluid. It seems like day-to-day things can change, whether that be in the playoffs or regular season. If there's the unfortunate time that the team lost two or three guys to injury, well, you're immediately losing two or three guys from your roster without anything happening. And it can be devastating. So we tend to carry a lot of bodies. A lot of guys have to be ready. And as happy as you are for the parent club and what they're doing, there is some sour grapes sometimes when you're losing guys that play 20, 25 minutes and you're trying to win a championship yourself. But and all that being said, that's the big dog eats first, and that's kind of how the American League NHL parent relationship. Everybody here is trying to win a Stanley Cup. The Calder Cup seems to be a consolation prize if the Stanley Cup's not there, but and we all understand that. But at times when you're a team and you're a group, it can be frustrating to lose guys. But that being said, we've lost Adam, who's obviously a big part of our team. And it's given the spotlight to somebody else to step in. Garrett Cockrell has come in and played really well for us. And the leagues, both of them, guys' opportunities kind of paved ways for careers. And when guys go up and down, it gives guys opportunities to show what they can do.
Well, and you talk about the Stanley Cup being the most important, and you're right, but it's really important to get those young guys into a winning environment, isn't it? And to get to the playoffs and to get this experience?
Absolutely, and there's something to that. There's cultural, and I know that word gets used a lot, but there's cultural benefits. You want guys focused on playing into June. You don't want guys getting to the end of April and throwing the brakes on and looking, at Expedia to get the plane tickets. You want guys being comfortable playing deep into the spring and summer, and that's part of this experience. So for these guys to get a taste of it, some of them to try and grow facial hair, it's funny. So but it's a good experience for everybody to be involved in, and I think the team up there right now is seeing some of the benefits of a prior Calder Cup run with Bjorkstrand and Anderson and Wierenski, and there's a lot of guys up there that were a big part of winning the Calder Cup down here, and hopefully we can do something similar to that and provide the team there with some young blood at some point.
Talking with Mark Letestu, he and the Cleveland Monsters have a chance to close out their first-round playoff series against Syracuse with a game in Cleveland at 7:30 tonight. Mark, you're a guy that's been driving back and forth from your house in Powell up to Cleveland for practices and for games all year long. It sounds very daunting, but it's also given you the time to spend with your family this year. You did get the call up for a bit, get to play a couple of games with the Blue Jackets. What has this entire season been like for you?
Well, it's been different. It's been an adjustment, but I think that the setup's been. You talk about daunting. It's really not that bad. It's an hour and 40 minutes. I get on the radio and listen to you, Bob, the whole time. You got to be honest. I'm kidding.
And you stay awake the whole way to Cleveland. That's pretty good.
The whole way. Yeah. No, it's one of those things where, I'm trying to balance the family life and still, I still love the game. I still want to play. I still enjoy it. And in talking with some older guys that have retired or guys that are still playing, that's kind of the message is play until you can't anymore. Because once you close that door, it's incredibly difficult to get back in. So I still enjoy it. I'm still having fun. The family still supports me in what I'm doing, and they get to live in Columbus. And it's a city they love. My kids love their school, their sports, their friends. So being able to balance the professional and personal life this year has been good for me. And that being said, the organization has been good in granting me leeway to do that. Not every organization would do that, and I've been incredibly thankful to them, and I've expressed that to them, and hopefully to continue a relationship in the future.
Well, I've always said if I were a player, I would play until somebody wouldn't give me a check anymore, and I wouldn't care because it is a limited amount of time in your life that you can do what you're doing. However, if you do get to another point, I know where there are a couple of doors that might keep you in the game. Just saying. Just want you to know that. What do you expect tonight? 7:30 game in Cleveland. I know you got a good fan base there for the Monsters. Chance to close it out. What are you expecting from Syracuse and from your fans in Cleveland?
Well, I'll have to be honest. I didn't expect the Cleveland fan base to be what it was. This city. I would expect we're going to get 10,000 plus, and they cheer. They love the team. And I don't know if that's from the Calder Cup team or that's just the blue-collar mentality of the city. But they've been with us all year. They've been invested in the team. They believed in us all year. And then you really get an appreciation for them. And I would expect nothing less. I think they're excited about the position we put ourselves in. And I would expect them to be, as boisterous as they've been all year. But that being said, Syracuse they're going to play their best. This is a team that's won the division this year, a lot of skill. And then I think anytime you back somebody into a corner, you're going to get some desperation. And I would expect to see that. So I think our guys have to be conscious of that, but, enjoy the atmosphere that's going to be there and use some of the emotion that's going to come with it and continue to play the way we have been.
All right, well, there you heard it. It's only about an hour and 40 minutes, 2 hours tops if you're closer to Columbus. The Monsters are playing tonight. You want to see some playoff hockey, go up and watch Mark Letestu. Already with 2 goals in the series, for crying out loud. Are you the leading scorer in this series?
No, I don't think I am. I think Sonny's getting there. So but I'm playing with him, so that counts for something.
Oh, absolutely. It's that veteran leadership on that line. Mark, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Look forward to seeing you soon, but hopefully you're in for a long run there in Cleveland and help those guys get better and get more experienced. And I wish you nothing but the best tonight.
Perfect. All right, let's catch up next round.
All right, sounds good. That's Mark Letestu of the Cleveland Monsters. They have a chance to close out their first-round series tonight. They're playing Syracuse, the Tampa Bay Lightning affiliate. Wouldn't that be something? Wouldn't that be something if both teams were able to sweep the Tampa-affiliated teams in the very first round? Oh, it could happen, tonight, 7:30. That game will take place in Cleveland. Yesterday was a great day here in Columbus because the Blue Jackets had a scrimmage. They played against themselves, and about 5,500 of you showed up for that scrimmage. I'm going to talk with Josh Anderson about that as we continue with CBJ and 30 Live, presented by Ohio Credit Union. Blue Jackets waiting for a second-round opponent. They will get one tonight. Eric Bending sending me a tweet at Bobby Back Sports, says, when does the second-round schedule come out? It's been too long. Derek says, why has it been the longest time in between games? Really hoping the Leafs finish it out tonight. It's been the longest time because there's no opponent. Because you've got to wait to see who you're going to play, where you're going to play, and then what the building schedule is for whoever you are going to play. It's coming out tonight. I'll tell you that right now. After that game's over, they'll announce the second round, and we'll be ready to go. Tomorrow, I will be on a plane going somewhere, either Toronto or Boston. I'll either have my passport or I won't, and I don't know how it's going to work out. Let me tell you how yesterday worked out. Yesterday, the Blue Jackets had an open practice. They decided to have a live scrimmage. If I could slow down and just speak, it would be good. They had a live scrimmage yesterday. And opening the doors to the public, I knew it was Easter Monday. I knew there were a lot of schools that didn't have classes yesterday. I figured there were some people that had taken off yesterday, but I was not prepared for what I faced when I went to Nationwide Arena, which was, there was a line to get into the parking garage, and I got there early. And I was like, uh-oh. Not uh-oh in a bad way, like, uh-oh, am I going to make it into the garage in time to see the start of this? And then when I got inside, it was amazing. You guys were amazing. Over 5,500 people showed up for that, and the team appreciated it. They really appreciated it. It was a lot of fun, and it was dry. There was no music. There were no announcements. It was just watching the guys play and reacting to it and having fun, having a good time. And, yes, they tried to simulate a game, but you really can't. They did the best they could. But they did get out, they did get some work, and they did get to do it in front of people, and they did get to perform, as John Tortorella says. So after that practice yesterday, I was able to catch up with one guy who I thought was really flying, which is nothing new because he does all the time, and that is Josh Anderson.
Came out in that scrimmage and you looked like you were trying to play your game. I mean, as much as you can play without the physical play, but the speed and all of that. How fun was that?
Yeah, it was good. Obviously, we had a good turnout with the fans. But it was just good to get back at it and play some 5-on-5 action because we haven't seen it in a week here. But yeah, just getting the legs moving and throwing a couple body checks. Obviously, you don't want to hurt any of your teammates, but just trying to give a little bumps here and there. And I thought it was pretty good pace today. One
guy that it did look like there was something going on with was Eric Robinson. It looked like to me like every time you guys were on the ice, he was trying to match you and be you. Which, you know what? Quite frankly, that's his size and that should be his game too.
Yeah, anyone out there is trying to, get their legs moving as much as they can, and obviously he was pretty noticeable today, just with his speed and him carrying the puck. So I thought everyone did a good job of matching the pace and playing hard.
You mentioned the fans. Did you know what to expect when you were told that the doors would be open and that there would be a live audience? Did you have any idea how many would be there?
I honestly didn't expect for there to be that many fans, but it was a great turnout. I just saw on Twitter that there was probably over 5,000, so it was great to see everyone come out and support it. Obviously, they miss the game as much as we do, so it was great to see.
How's the city been for you here in this last week, ever since you guys clinched?
It's been great. Obviously, the fans are pretty excited of what's going on, and you can just see downtown. Everyone, cheering and, the different restaurants that we're going to, we're getting noticed a little bit more. So it's great to see, but hopefully we got a long run here.
How tough is it to stay sharp? And, it has been just about a week now, and you're trying to do that. But as you said, there's no 5-on-5 action. There's no team that you can hit. How tough has it been just for you personally to stay in the mindset?
Yeah, it's definitely a little bit different, I would say, obviously with the week off that we've had, but I think the guys been doing really good of coming to the rink and preparing and practicing really hard just to keep that tempo up. But today was really nice, just to get that 5-on-5 mentality and battle levels and getting our reloading going. So we needed that today, and we'll go out here throughout the next couple days and get back to it as soon as we can.
You ever had this long of a layoff ever, like even in junior in the playoffs?
Yeah, actually with Lake Erie, 3 years ago when we swept the first round, I think we had about 9 days off or something like that. We did 1 day on, 1 day off, or things like that. But, obviously we didn't have a problem with that down there, so hopefully it will be the same.
As you're waiting for an opponent, which finally that question is going to be answered, how much have you paid attention to the Toronto-Boston series?
Yeah, it's definitely exciting. That's one of the teams that we're trying to, where we're going to be playing. So we're paying close attention. Obviously, we're watching it right now as a fan, but when it all settles out, we're going to be watching a lot of video on one of the teams that we're going to be playing.
Is it time to get back to work, in your opinion?
Yeah, it is.
Josh Anderson, after the scrimmage yesterday, and you could tell he was impressed, and you had to be impressed with that turnout. Over 5,500 people came to Nationwide Arena to watch the team practice yesterday. Today they'll have another practice, and as I said, tomorrow they'll be hitting the road going to either Toronto or Boston. Ohio Credit Union is a place that has just been above and beyond everything for over 80 years. That's right, because going out of their way to do something special is just normal, everyday business. That's what they do for their members. They put people above profits. 1934 is when it started. It continues today, and it can happen for you. Why should you join a credit union? Why should you be a part of Ohio? What do they offer? What can they give to you personally or for your business? What can they do? How do you find out? I can tell you. Just go online to telhio.org and check out their website. All the answers are there. They're there somewhere. Just surf through and look. And if you don't have time for that, that's okay. They have a live chat option. Just click on it, and you'll get help right there on your screen. Or if you're out and about, you can stop by any Ohio Credit Union office, speak to a person, and they'll tell you about all the benefits that are there for you. Ohio Credit Union is open to everyone in central and southwestern Ohio. They are federally insured by NCUA. So tonight, Toronto and Boston will play a Game 7. There is another Game 7 late tonight in San Jose when the Sharks host the Vegas Golden Knights. Coming up next, I will talk with Dan Duva. He is the radio voice of the Vegas Golden Knights. We'll chat about that Game 7 and about that series in general, how it's been going as we continue with CBJ in 30 Live, presented by Ohio Credit Union. Welcome back to CBJ in 30 Live, presented by Ohio Credit Union. I'm Bob McElligott. The Blue Jackets are waiting for their next opponent. They're going to figure out who it is tonight when Toronto takes on Boston in a Game 7. And that is one of two Game 7s. The other one is going to take place in San Jose, where the Sharks will take on the Vegas Golden Knights. Vegas couldn't close it out on Easter night at home, so now they've got to play the Sharks in the Shark Tank to try to move on to the second round of the Stanley Cup playoffs. There are only two broadcasters that have come out of Syracuse of the American Hockey League and have made it to the NHL. I am one of them, and the other is with me right now, and that is Dan Duva of the Vegas Golden Knights. Dan, thanks for taking some time. I don't know that you had planned on your series going 7 games, but here you are going to a Game 7. What happened on Sunday night where, actually, in the last 2 games, where the Sharks had the wherewithal to keep the series going and the Golden Knights couldn't close it out?
Yeah, well, Bobby, it's great to be with you. Those Syracuse Crunch, they're down in their series, 2-0.
Yeah, to the Blue Jackets team, by the way, huh?
That's right. I know it. And of course, Ryan Craig, Golden Knights assistant coach, has his ties to that organization, and the American League, of course, as well. So I love those fun ties. It's great to chat with you. But in terms of the Golden Knights, 2 different games, Game 5 and Game 6. In San Jose, there was so much energy around the team, and the Sharks scored early, which had been the MO for the Golden Knights. They had scored in the first 90 seconds of a period in 6 out of 7 periods. But then the Sharks scored early. And the team that has scored first has won every game in the series. Not only that, the team that scored first has not fallen behind subsequently. The Knights had a 3-0 lead. Sharks tied it at 3, but Vegas never trailed in that game. And same thing with Game 6. 1-0 San Jose in the first period, a goal a few seconds left in the first, and then the Knights tied it in the second, and then nobody scored for a couple hours, and a shorthanded goal, double overtime, first double overtime shorthanded goal in playoffs history for Tomas Hertl. But if you watch the game, the Golden Knights seem to have much better play than did the Sharks. San Jose looked tired. I mean, they use, whether it's Brent Burns or Erik Karlsson, they're double shifting those guys. They're playing almost half the game. So, it seemed that the Knights were going to have finally the crack in the armor of the Sharks of power play in overtime. Knights 8 power play goals. They had at least 1 power play goal in the first 5 games of the series, and then the Sharks score shorthanded. And you could go through the entire game. You see the shots on goal. Knights had 59 shots, franchise record, but only one of them got through Martin Jones, which is kind of a shocker if you watched him play the middle 3 games of the series when he got pulled twice and had a goals against average nearly 8. So who knows? That's why they play the games. But it seems to me, regardless of the outcome, Vegas played well in Game 6, better than they had in Game 5.
It's funny because as it was coming down the wire in the last 2 weeks of the regular season, I would go through the standings and talk about what was going on in the Pacific Division. And, Calgary, once they finally got it wrapped up, because we were in Calgary with a couple weeks left, and at that point, San Jose was I think they were within 1 point of Calgary. And I said, everybody's trying to get away from the Vegas Golden Knights because nobody wants to play the Golden Knights. And so I'll be honest with you, if San Jose can pull this off, I will be very surprised because I like your team. I like what your team did at the trade deadline. I mean, the Blue Jackets got 2 members of the Ottawa Senators. The Golden Knights got the other one, which, this is no offense to the guys we got. He might be the best one because Mark Stone has really come in and been an impact guy, hasn't he?
Yeah, and the Selke candidate, and that's a surprise to some because he's not a center. That award usually goes to centermen, but he led the league in takeaways. And you go back the last few years, as long as he's been in the league, nobody has had more takeaways than Mark Stone. Oh, and by the way, if you take his points with a last-place team like the Ottawa Senators and combine it with his points with the Golden Knights, he has more points than anybody on the Golden Knights. Not only that, leads the Stanley Cup playoffs with 6 goals, 10 points. And the things that he has done, and he's only 26 years old, so you think that, the experience there, well, he's not as old as Stastny or Pacioretty, his line mates, but he was the old veteran on his line in Ottawa. That's a different role for him. So I'm with you. And of course, it's fun to then watch him play against Erik Karlsson on the Sharks side, who, of course, was teammates. Those were the top 2 scorers in Ottawa the last 4 or 5 years. Mark Stone, to me, has taken the Golden Knights from a contender to a favorite in a lot of matchups. So you wonder if Mark Stone had been around the entire regular season, what the record would have been for the Golden Knights. He arrives, Vegas wins 10 out of 11 games. Then you have some players rested down the stretch, some guys banged up, so they didn't go into the postseason roaring. They did find a way to flip the switch for Game 2 of the first round. Game 1 looked like a regular season performance. They were outplayed in Game 1. But I'm with you. Mark Stone has been the difference maker to turn this team into a really dynamic threat. It just makes the whole lineup that much more impressive.
And he came in and right away signed a contract. So any discussion beyond this year was over.
Yeah, 8-year deal. And as I mentioned, he's 26 years old, turns 27 next month. As much as he has contributed to a last-place team in the Ottawa Senators, he only had one true playoff team, the club that lost to the Pittsburgh Penguins in the conference final a couple of years ago. And that's his playoff experience. He came into the American League right in the midst of Binghamton's success. The Binghamton Senators had won the Calder Cup in 2011, so he came along right after that. It seems to me that just his personality, his emotion has come out a little bit more. First handful of games, he was playing well, but he had never changed teams before. And I think, and he's kind of intimated this, not as much comfort. So showing his personality and letting loose, not so much early on. But then when he started to score in the postseason, you saw that emotion, and it seems to have helped his teammates too.
Well, if you can't let loose in Vegas, you can't let loose anywhere, right?
You said it, not me.
Talking with Dan Duva, he is the radio voice of the Vegas Golden Knights. You guys have, listen, we saw this guy a lot for many years in the Metropolitan Division, but to me, you've got the wild card, the guy that doesn't seem to age, and that is the goaltender, Marc-Andre Fleury. How magic is this guy?
Yeah, and you think back to the regular season and the big moments that he had, and of course last year, despite missing 2 months, what he did down the stretch, and then sweeping the Kings in the first round. And you go down the list of all-time categories: regular season, postseason, and he's there. He's top 10 shutouts and wins and games played. He's everywhere, and we know what happened at the end of the story in Pittsburgh. Matt Murray supplanted him as the number one guy, and you thought maybe he was running out of time. But look at what's happened with the Golden Knights. Gets the team to the Stanley Cup final, and then things kind of fall out from underneath them. Vegas really never played its best against the Capitals, and credit to the Capitals for that. Now, Fleury had a great stretch where he had over 200 shutout minutes late in the regular season, but then a minor injury kept him out for 9 games. He played the last 2 regular season games. You wonder, is that enough time to get back in sync? Looked like the answer was yes. He had a 5-0 shutout earlier in the series against the Sharks and held San Jose to just 1 goal in Game 6 until double overtime. And you can go back and watch that clip again and say Theodore gets the stick of Tomas Hertl as he's releasing. Maybe that changes the trajectory of the shot. Fleury might have been fooled. Still, you watch it and you think that's normally a save that Fleury makes, perhaps because he had so little activity. I mean, the Knights controlled possession so much. Mark has got the personality to bounce back from that. That's what impresses you the most. He's not a captain officially, but he is one of the leaders on the team. He's 34 years old. He's the kind of guy that the young players, the veteran players, everybody sort of leans on for guidance and how to carry yourself. And he's also a prankster. I mean, he grabbed Jonathan Marchessault's sticks the other day at practice, tied him up, threw him on the ice, and Marchessault had to skate around without sticks for a while to begin practice. So he's a guy who keeps it loose and obviously keeps the Golden Knights in a winning sort of frame of mind, too.
Well, I love that. It's been so tough for you in your first 2 years in the NHL. If it doesn't work out for you, I'm going to feel so bad since you did go to the Stanley Cup final last year, and if you came up short. But in all seriousness, no, I hope you pull through. I really like what you guys are doing out there. And, there are some people, and there's a long way to go. I'm not predicting this, but immediately when the Blue Jackets beat the Lightning, I had people saying to me, Columbus and Vegas in the final, which I think would be pretty cool.
Yeah, well, I mean, you think about, for Columbus having not been on the scene before in the second round, and the Golden Knights relatively new to the scene as well. There seems to be, true fan base excitement levels unmatched, right? I mean, I've seen the clips of the folks attending Blue Jackets practice, and that has become the routine for Golden Knights practices in Vegas. When you've got this groundswell of support with a fan base, it just invigorates everything. And the players feel that. And I don't have to tell you, Bobby, that the players feel that, especially the folks who are new to the team. And, of course, you've got a couple new guys, Golden Knights, not just Mark Stone, but think about Max Pacioretty and Paul Stastny. They were not part of last year's Golden Knights run. They're new to the club this year. It really seems to me that effect of a fan base has a very real effect on how the guys perform.
Oh, yeah, it's a different level here in Columbus after what happened in the first round, and it is a lot of fun. So, hey, do me one more favor. When you see Gerard Gallant, please tell him that we said great luck to him and to his team from Columbus. It's good to talk to somebody that I really don't care if they win, because I'm talking to the other people in the East, and there's some people I care if they win or if they lose, right? But with you, I'll just say good luck. Tell Turk that we said good luck, and thanks for taking a couple of minutes, Stan.
Sure will, and look forward to seeing you in June, Bobby.
That'll be great if it happens, for sure. That's Stan Duva. He's the radio voice of the Vegas Golden Knights. They will play Game 7 of the series with San Jose tonight. Stay tuned. I'll be back to wrap up today's edition of CBJ in 30 Live, presented by Ohio Credit Union.
Blue Jackets getting set to find out who they are going to play in round 2 of the Stanley Cup playoffs. That will be determined tonight when Toronto plays in Boston, Game 7 of their quarterfinal series. Somebody's moving on to the semis, and that's who the Blue Jackets will get. You can get your tickets by going to BlueJackets.com. And don't forget, once you get those tickets, there is another level that you can go to, because you can go to the High Bank Distillery VIP party or the Great Lakes Brewing Company party. They're both inside of Nationwide Arena. Here's what you get. First of all, you get to come into the building early. Then you get all-inclusive food and drink in a private area. Yeah, you get all of that. So when you get your tickets, then you want to sign up for one of these parties. You want to really take your experience to the next level. All you have to do is go to BlueJackets.com/playoff party and get all of the information on those parties. So that'll be good. Thank you for being with me today. That has been CBJ 30, presented by Ohio Credit Union. I'm Bob McElligott. Talk to you tomorrow.